We're going to hear about a dirty little secret in yachting. So I'm here with David Gates. Nice to see you, David.
Hello, Ben. How are you?
Very, very well. So you got this company called Superyacht Rubbish. Can you give us a little context around the mission there and why it exists?
Well, for many years, I worked for the Yacht Report magazine, which is now the Super Yacht Report. And I got told by crew constantly the biggest problem in yachting is the bin juice on board boats.
Right.
Because there's not the right facilities on the boats to cater for it. And that means they have to run tenders ashore. They have to stay as close to the marina as possible. And it means that crew are wasting time, wasting fuel, clocking of tenders, various things that happen. Plus, the bags can split over the £1 million carpet.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know,
yeah. It's not the first thing you think of, is it? Like, you got a really large yacht, you look at it, you don't immediately jump to, oh, I wonder where their bin bags go, or what they do with their waste, or how they deal with it.
It's one of the things that people don't think about. You know, it's the same with any kind of hotels on islands as well. You know, where does waste go in the Maldives and things like that? It's just a dirty little secret. Happens to be 2 large islands where they burn it, and the methane is terrible for the environment, and someone needs to find a solution for it. So there's 2 problems really. There's the problem of what on the yacht operationally.
Right. So you've got a load of waste from the guests or the owner.
That's the first problem.
Where do you put that?
Some boats put it in the forepeak, and it can smell. It's horrendous if they keep it in there because it's organic food waste. Oh, it's disgusting.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
there's the opposite of what you want on board.
There's a boat here, a big sailboat that I've just supplied the modular vacuum device to because they had no space to fit it, and they basically kept this a sailboat that's got 2 lockers at the front of the vessel,
Right. Yeah.
one for water toys, and one's a stainless steel tub where they throw their food waste in.
Right.
And essentially, when they bring the deck back down, the sun bakes it. Their beds are below it.
Oh.
And it
was literally crew beds right
underneath,
right next to it. So
and they can smell it. It leaches through. It's absolutely gross.
That's grim. Okay.
The grossest of the gross, you know.
Yeah. And so, what have you done about it? So we've got this machine here.
Yeah.
How does this work? Why is it such an effective solution for the things we mentioned?
Well, it uses a very thick plastic bag, PAP bags. It has to be PAP because it needs to grip it when it's sealing it. Essentially, what it does is it sucks the air out down to 0.4 bar of pressure,
right,
and then seals it with a heating element.
Right. So what would normally be like a higher volume of bags full of air, and then the waste?
Well, most boats do is they use their current bins.
Yeah.
The simple normal bins, normal 60-litre bins, something like that. There's a variety of them on the vessel, wherever, in the galley, all over the place. And what they can do is they can fit 2 to 3 bags, full bags, inside one of my 100-litre bags. Means they keep the cost of my bags down, which can be quite expensive.
Yep.
And they can use it to shrink it to food waste about 20% reduction.
Right.
And sealed, so there's no smell. Eliminates the bin juice.
Yeah.
It means they can do 10-day plus at anchor.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So there's actually a limiting factor on how long are you away from shore before all this rubbish.
It depends.
Is actually like affecting the.
It really depends what facilities the boat has. Yeah. So the boat, if they do have a fridge and they can fit more into it, that's a win-win.
And you'd refrigerate the waste.
They do. Some boats have big fridges that they fit, but sometimes they're not big enough for the waste they produce.
Right. Yeah.
And it flows out. It's disgusting.
That's
because especially on charter when no owners on board, there's a lot of waste.
Yeah. Sure.
And the idea is that if it's kept below 4 degrees, the bags will keep with organic matter. They'll keep shrunk.
Right. Yeah.
Because what happens, the food will break down in the bags.
Right. Yeah. And so a lower temperature, it'll take longer to do that.
4 degrees, 4 degrees under, basically. Yeah. And if they don't keep it, the bags will, after a number of days, puff back up.
Right.
And that's good. That's good because that's keeping those smells.
Methane gas or like?
Yeah, it's breaking down of the food. Yeah,
but it's sealed, so it's okay.
Yeah, and that's where the bad smell comes from. They're very thick bags. They're very unlikely to puncture. I can't be 100% sure they won't, but if you leave them for days and days and days. But if you keep them, I've had reports 10 days plus of boats being at anchor without having to run tenders ashore.
Right. Okay. Nice. And when you were talking to me about the product, the machine. For some reason, I visualized quite a big machine, which isn't great on board a yacht because space is gold dust. And actually, this is the machine here, so it's actually it's pretty low profile.
Generally, the issue with waste on board boats is it says it's the lowest common denominator. You know, it really is because you're building this joyful boat, which should have all the most amazing
This
rooms.
fancy this has got to look like that.
And the
Then you're
designers
thinking about
yeah,
where's all my waste going to
it's
go?
kind of an afterthought, you know. Not on all boats, but I'd say 95% of all boats. And the bigger they get, the bigger the problems get, because they've got more crew, they produce more waste. It's just like yada yada yada, you know. And small boats suffer from it because they just don't have the space, at all. And this machine this is the biggest version. It's on wheels, and what this does is this can only be kept in an auxiliary room. If there's nowhere to actually install it, you can actually wheel it in and out of the room.
Right, okay.
So it doesn't need to be installed.
Yeah.
Bigger boats are pushing it around the vessel to where the waste is actually occurring.
Yeah.
So they don't have to bring bags to it.
Yeah.
And
there's another version behind us which is mounted.
yeah, well, there's 3 versions in total. This you can take the wheels and this tray away, and that can sit on the floor. That's like a medium version for space. It's a small, very small machine.
Yeah.
Fit it in the back of my car and still fit my suitcase in it and take it around Europe, which I do a lot.
Yeah.
But then the modular device, which we launched in 2019, has been updated with a screen, which means the users can see the actual operation of the process of the 60 to 90 seconds per bag process, and they can open it safely without burning their hands.
Yeah. Okay, that's
and that's an ultimate saver. That's the world's smallest waste management device.
okay. Nice. And tell me a story, because you've mentioned a few in the past that I've thought nobody actually realizes that superyacht waste may well end up in an atoll kind of just getting burnt off, or there's things like corrupt waste management systems,
all in a butt. But a specific one I've heard about is in the Maldives. There's you think there's all those beautiful hotels, and the yachts obviously go there as well, so they contribute to it. They have 2 islands which are their like landfill, essentially, and I understand it can catch on fire, right, and releasing all the methane and possibly spilling into the sea.
Yeah,
and there's many cases of places like Antigua where they have a big one dump for the islands. It's falling into the water and causing all kinds of problems.
Right, and so with this solution on board, what does that allow the superyacht to do? To not enter that system at all and keep it on board until they can responsibly dispose of it?
Well, we talked about the problem. We've talked about the problem on board mainly being about space and smell.
Yeah,
that's one problem. When the boat comes back to the marina or the hotel or the island resort, but we're talking about yachts here. Yeah. They then have to, every country has different regulations. Every country has different kinds of processing abilities, to whether it's waste to energy. Some people just burn it.
Right.
Some people just put it in landfill, and who knows what anyone else does.
Right. Yeah. So it's a bit of a mystery, but when it's a mystery, it's not a good sign.
Well, a lot of crew complain. So I'm always talking to crew. This is a real crew product that owners do love in the end, but it has to be bought by the crew. And what they say is that, like, places in the south of France, there's a marina in the south of France where they sort their rubbish based on what they think is going to happen in the bins, because they're not particularly well labelled a lot of the time. So it's getting better, but there's certainly, in the past. And they say one lorry comes along, mixes it all together and drives away.
Yeah, so
and
everyone's like, separate now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just... And I've started something called the Clean Superyacht Marina campaign, which is a questionnaire which I'm sending out to marinas, which is basically asking about 17, 18 questions about their waste. Things like, do you have sea bins? Where does your energy come from? Yeah. Do you have batteries for your shore power? Do you have solar? So it's from a waste management and it's from a waste disposal and renewable perspective. And the idea is, if we can get all the data back, we can provide a guide to crew about what facilities are in each marina and where it goes, to try and make it as traceable as possible.
Right, and so that way superyachts coming into a marina and the crew are actually already clued up how waste is managed in that marina.
Yeah, it could be
they
part of
their
their
decision and say we want to be part of that, or maybe
they can tailor their approach to it. Yeah, they tailor their approach and their expectations. Yeah, and maybe it will. Knowledge is very powerful. Data is very powerful, and that if boats might not want to go to those places.
Yeah.
If they can't
actually be a determining factor whether they.
If one marina's got better facilities than the next, it could be and hopefully that I don't want it to be a coercion tool, but without data, we don't know what this stuff is. And
right, so that's what the questionnaire achieves, and then we can go.
Well, like in Italy, I've been told by captains who operate in Italy, very popular place for yachts to populate, super yachts to populate.
Yeah.
And about 4 years ago, they changed the policy in Italy to just using clear bags. You can't process anything other than clear, transparent bags, right? Which works well for me because mine are clear and transparent.
Right, nice. Yeah. But why did they do that?
I don't know. It's
just a random policy.
I
just
think
makes no sense.
I think it's to see what's in the waste.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think
like
it's
quite literal transparency.
I believe so. Yeah.
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 Right, yeah.
But there's a problem in America and in I imagine Australia. You know, when you go on the aeroplane and you land in Sydney or you land in Florida, you can't bring any organic matter in.
Yeah.
Same with yachts coming in, port state authorities.
Yeah.
There's a yacht I visited in Fort Lauderdale recently, and they didn't want to pay the incineration fee for the food waste to come off.
Yeah.
You think, why not? But it happens.
Yeah. And so looking forward, what does Superyacht Rubbish become? What do you want to achieve? We've touched a little bit on it for the whole like responsible waste management on board yachts. And what's the next 3-5 years look like?
I've started supplying this to Superyachts. It's now making its way onto Navy ships, making its way onto oceanology explorer boats. So there's a lot of growth potential in those markets for this machine. We continuing to develop the machines to make them smaller, to make them more useful. And that will carry on working. We're always looking at that improvement. We're listening to crew, listening to what they want, and actually helping them. I really love renewables as well. I'm really into renewables, solar and battery. I have like 16 solar panels and a Tesla Powerwall.
Talk about that. Yeah.
And I love this kind of stuff, and I think it's the future. You know, it's now and the future. And I've got a new machine coming which will hopefully burn the waste cleanly through a heat pump technology.
Right.
It needs to be minimized and shrunk, so there is a place for the vacuum device as well. Yeah. But this will be in the marinas and on the islands, and it will provide renewable energy. It will provide electricity.
Right, beautiful. So when it's not disposed of responsibly, we can actually have a solution for the shore-based systems to sort.
Can you imagine eliminating those 2 islands in the Maldives? Can you imagine like not having those big lorries coming into?
Would that feel good, wouldn't it?
Oh, it's good for the local environment. It cuts down on all that infrastructure, potentially. This product is going to totally revolutionise waste management, I think.
Yeah.
The manufacturer's got aims for it to be on every building in the world, and I'm hopeful to secure the worldwide rights to the maritime sector.
Yeah. Okay, super. Well, thank you very much for your insight.
Thank you very much.
Everybody, if you enjoyed content like this, then make sure you're following here to see plenty more of it. Outside of that, I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.